Greetings, technology enthusiasts. I am Chandrahas and I am delighted to be here with you representing CyberBrainer. Do you not believe that the technology sector is advancing at an unprecedented rate, making this an opportune moment to acquire the skills that will facilitate your progress? With CyberBrainer, we are empowering you to take control of your own future. At CyberBrainer, we do not merely impart your interests. We assert that information is power, yet it is the application of knowledge that distinguishes you. Our courses are meant to equip you with essential skills, whether you are pursuing data science, understanding artificial intelligence, or delving into cybersecurity. Let us commence the session and seize the future today. Thank you.
See, all you need to know in reporting is getting the data in the report that is sitting in Workday. Whatever fields that you are giving here, those you'll anyway get. If someone asks you to get the data by the data, you know what data has to be returned that you'll anyway give. What kind of criteria is? If they wanted to send only active employees, if they wanted to send only terminated employees, if they said, like, as I was giving you right, employees who have dependents, with only child, with only stepchild kind of things, when you wanted to consider this criteria, everything plays in filter and sub-filters. You need to understand the requirement, how to drill down into Workday and return the data by filters. Filter is something like which I know optimizes your data and returns what data is intended for report. Now we have created the report that actually pulls, and we have created the report that a lot of data is based on the data. If anybody has someone who has dependents or dependents with child, we have gone and we have used sub-filter. The reason why we use sub-filter is since dependent is sitting in related business object. It is not a primary business, or our primary business object is worker. And since dependent is a related business object, any data that we wanted to filter in related business object, we need to use sub-filter. And the first thing that is going to execute when you click on button and run button, the first thing that is going to execute is sub-filter. Then it will look for filter. Because when you use sub-filter, and when you are giving the report to actually drill down into related business object and return the data as how we have given report first looks at subfilter. First looks at related business object and then build down into related business object criteria. Then result tree the return the data. At the same time, if you give filter also, filter in the sense which actually filters primary business object data. When you do filter also apart from subfilter, subfilter will be running first and then it will look for filter criteria. Both at a time will not execute and filter will not execute first. First subfilter will execute. Report will look at subfilter and then it will go for filter criteria. Then looks for primary business object filter that you will be giving. We'll be working on all those multiple filter options between both filter and subfilter. Ichiko Thalter, and yesterday you're saying you're not able to find stepchild. Writer. I don't know whether you're using the student or the tenant. The reason why I am going for Adam Carlton is Adam Carlton has more security than the user that I'm using now. This guy does not have the right now on the security, but this guy has most of the security to actually manage any kind of cult fields, any kind of filters, any kind of sub filters and all this. Adam Carlton has more security. That's the reason why I'm actually proxying as this Adam Carlton and manage our reporting. This was the report we have created yesterday. This is the report if you have not shared, but there is a task called View Custom Report. This task, even if it is not shared, you can find that report. They can only find or they have the privilege to edit. They can edit with the access that they have, and at the same time they actually share that report to all authorized users. They can run the report and they can modify anything and they can manage anything. Let's say now the report that I've created yesterday, I'm trying to find this with other users. They can find the report. And if you see here share button, this is not shared. But with the access this day has, you should be able to edit, but he cannot run. Now I'm editing this. Go to share. Share all authorized users. I can give. Then this guy will get all the permissions to run. We have gone with all the basic demographic information and few dependent related fields. Now our requirement is to exclude the data of dependent domestic partner and dependent domestic partner's child. Where we need to go? We need to actually go for subfilter. When do you use subfilter and when do you use filter? When you have a primary business object and when you have a secondary business object in the report. And when you wanted to filter your data on secondary business object, you cannot do that in filter. You have to do that in any number of secondary business object that you can add in the report and in any number of secondary business object. If you wanted to add any filter criteria, you just need to go to subfilter. Click on add. Add that was a particular business object which you are looking for and add those filter criteria that you wanted to have. You are talking about secondary means related business objects. That's what you're saying. Secondary is nothing but related business object. Secondary in business object is nothing but child business object. And primary business object is nothing but parent business object, which actually links with primary business object. Now our requirement is report data should exclude dependents who has domestic partner as well as domestic partner child. This report should not return the employees who have this criteria. Now we added subfilter as a dependent and we'll see. This is again on index data source. Where is the report that we have created? We have created this report yesterday, right? Again without index. This is to give you an understanding why we are not able to filter on related business object. The source is index the filter. Probably I'll talk more with you after this call. What is indexed? What is the other source? Which works in which way? Which works, which will not work with a huge amount of data. All these things probably. I'll explain you right after this. Call the data source one. This should be the one. Let's see. In simple report, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. The filter criteria that I was seeing, it has to exclude domestic partner and domestic partner child. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. The data that we were looking for, and the data is selected. It has to look for the data that we are not looking for. We need to. I have a question because I've done this one. I had put look for spouse and child. Is that fine? Also look for where is it look. Look. I did it the other way around. Where is the look for? We don't have look for, no, not look, aha, in the selection list. You want to say you have taken at in the field. You have taken in the selection list. When you take in the selection list, it will actually look for the data and filters only for domestic partner and child data. When you look for not in the selection list, it will exclude those two and it will look for others. Now let me take not in the selection list. And we have all the relationships here. Now, since we have selected not in the selection list, we don't want this criteria to be coming in the report. Now I will select domestic partner and we don't have domestic partner child. Yes, notice we will also have domestic partnership, but this tenant does not have that. If you wanted to exclude domestic panel child, you can include that relationship as well in this criteria. Now, if I run the report, I will not have domestic partner in my output because I have selected not in the selection list. It will look for all others excluding domestic partner. If you include in the selection list, it will not look for any other, but it will look for only the value that you will be giving here. Which is better? Is there a better way? Is this the better? No, it depends upon your requirement, right? If someone asks you, I wanted to have, I'll give you one more example right after this report. If someone asks you to create, I don't want it to have domestic partner in the report, exclude that one. Let's say if you are sending data to any benefit vendor, they don't accept any kind of domestic partner and domestic partner child. What you need to do? You need to actually exclude those two relationships and include all others. The best way is exclude those two and it will look for all other relationships excluding. I was having a problem because every time I did this, it actually made everything blank in the relationship. When I told it, that's why I did about 3-4 times that eventually the only way I could see spouse and child was when I included spouse and child and took out everything else. And when I did that and run the report, I was able to see. When I export to Excel, then everything is, there's no blanks. Everywhere it's populated and spouse and child is included. That's why I went. But I will try it one more time and see. Let's see now. Let's see, it could have been. My logic was wrong also. I don't know how you actually play around with filters. Yes, filter is a primary criteria of report to return the data. Actually looking for field initially, still you get some good hands on. If you're actually looking for worker, just make sure that all the fields are sitting in the same business object. Now you see here I was actually trying to get a full name while this sitting in external or internal candidate. You may be getting the data, you waiting the name, but it is not looking for worker business object. It is not looking into worker business, but it is going for external, internal candidate who is actually not an employee, not a worker. Let's make sure that all your fields are aligned with the primary business object. Now this one is coming from worker. Amit, when you select the business object as worker, obviously you will see only the fields related to worker, right? And you're asking us to make sure you'll have all other business object related fields. Not only that, are sitting in worker. Worker is a kind of superset of all the business object that we have. You'll be getting the fields with the same name that are in other business object also. You need to make sure that you wanted to have the data only from worker. Right now, I was actually looking for a full name with the candidate business object, right? Which is actually can be related business object to worker. But when you're actually wanting the data to be coming into worker, make sure that these are delivered fields, right? These are actually provided by Workday, which are actually can be synced with worker also. When you go with the benefit elections report, when you're creating benefit elections report there, whatever fields that are coming under benefit elections, you will be getting only those fields. Unless there is any calc field or anything created in benefit elections, with no other functions, you'll be getting there. But what does? It doesn't have any related business object. Benefit elections can also have, but the difference between worker business object and other business object is worker can link to any other business object in Workday. But benefit elections cannot link to any other business object. Worker can directly link to. You can get any other business object as a related business object in the report where worker is a primary business object. But in other case you cannot get. Let's say benefit elections that you are getting are any kind of performance related report or any kind of recruiting related report that you are creating. You cannot get worker into those reports because those are not, sync with. But if you are creating with worker business object, you can get candidate information, you can get benefit elections, you can get any other business object into worker. But if you are creating any report in benefit elections or employee review or any kind of job requisition kind of reports, right? You cannot get worker data into that report because that is not linked here to those business object. Those are not related to worker, but worker can relate to any other business object. Another business subject cannot relate to worker. That's the criteria. There's a reason why. When you're actually managing reports with worker, you should be getting some other related business object data in your field list which are delivered. During that time, probably you to make sure that those fields are from workers. Only few fields. Supervisory org. Supervisory org. Supervisory org. Supervisory org. I'll go with dependent. Our relationship has to be one thing which needs to evaluate with the filter right. That we can get to know whether domestic partner is returning or not. Well, I will get relationship. Now, if I run the report, I should get the data that should not include domestic partner, but all of this. I might have child, I might have spouse, I might have any other relationship, but in this I should not get domestic partner. I have around 908 rows of data. Let me extract this into Excel. Now I don't have anything other than this because I have excluded domestic partner. If I include domestic partner, that also will be part of this list. That's how you need to actually make sure that your report criteria has in the selection list or not in the selection list. When you are going for not in the selection list, Just make sure that report will not look for that value. But other than that value, it will look for when you include in the selection list. It will look for only for that value. It will not look for any other value. That is the main difference. That is the main difference. And that plays an important role and makes a lot of difference in your reporting. In the selection list. Why has it not populated them? Under the domestic partner, I'm talking about the name of the dependent child or spouse, like how we have it in Workday. It has populated that column, both the columns. When we bring it into Excel, it has not populated. Is it because of some formatting? No, it has the data, but primary rows, does not have the data. You have all the data. You have all the data. But you have this employee does not have dependent. This employee does not have dependent. If you wanted to actually filter out all this data, what you need to do is you need to actually, yesterday I was saying right, dependent should not be blank. Thank you. I mean, the dependent field comes from dependent business object, right? But why are you adding it in filter? You told you have to add related business object only in the sub filter, right? I'm not taking the value that is sitting in dependent business object. This dependent value is from worker only. If I wanted to filter the data that is sitting in dependent business object, I cannot do here. If I wanted to filter data for dependents, I cannot do in primary, business object filter. Let's say if I wanted to filter for relationship. Sorry, can you please go back to the columns? If you see here, I'm not able to get any relationship value that is sitting in dependent business object. But unlike all other fields, dependent business object is from worker business object only. If you see here, visit dependent is sitting in worker. But the value like relationship, the value like dependent, not dependence dependent. All these values, if you wanted to filter on primary business or on secondary business object, you need to go with subfilter. Makes sense. Kind of clear. But still it's little confusing because in the column, when you go to the columns, under the business object, you can see worker dependents. These two are business objects, right? These two are business of worker is a primary business object. And when you say related business object, it is nothing but was primary business subject is holding that value, is holding that field. That's the reason why you're able to add it as a related business object. And if you wanted to go into that particular field of that related business object, you cannot get that into primary business object, right? Because that is not sitting in. Yes, there are calculated fields that you can get. Let's say relationship is there. Now we have a relationship. You cannot get this under worker. I cannot add relationship. I cannot add only the ways we need to go with the calculated free. I cannot get any relay relationship value here. There's the reason why if I wanted to filter on relationship, my primary filter will not work. I need to go with subfilter. But since you know the value, that is actually dependent value. I wanted to actually play around this. That is sitting in worker business object. I'm actually using this as a criteria in primary filter. Got it. Thank you. Now all those blanks will go off. We got our volume got reduced from 903 to 245. We got reduced. This is how you will be actually taking out with the data now. Similar report. I'll give you with the different use case. Now the report should return. You both have your tenant right. No, I haven't activated it yet. Report should return employees from United States and also whose hire date is greater than or equal to 1st of January 2022. And it also should return data from all other countries other than US. Two conditions here. Report should return all the employees' data who is joined in US with hire date greater than or equal to 1st of January 2022. And it also should return the data from all other countries other than US. Whose hire date is less than or equal to 1st of January 2022. We have to return the data from all of us. Here also your filter piece major role. I'll just any idea how you want it to go. First you're going to select. You're going to filter out country to US. That will be in your main filter. And hire date also will be in the main filter. But greater than we can just write greater than equal to 1st January. And employees other than United States. The first part I can guess. I'll just add location country. Just add country just to identify work. Now the required will see an idea and I guess. From the full domain filter, because it's a plant, it is the subject and it will be under worker. It will be a new one under worker. You will create the filter. Here we have hire rate also as a kind of criteria. Employees from us should be greater than or equal to 1st of January 2022 and all other countries less than 1st of January 2022. That is our criteria. I have a guess. I am going to put like and bracket. You're going to put one condition. And then you're going to put or another condition. Except that comes with reading multiple filters. Now I've taken the filter Again, location, address, country. The selection list. What has to be here? When I go for in the selection list, it has to be sure. I am going to put a little bit higher date. In the selection list. We're actually looking for 1st of Jan 2022 and after that greater than rate. We need to take greater than or equal to. Well, after the next video, alright, now the third one. Alright, that apparently that wasn't going to mention 1/4. That's, I don't forget, were 10. Thank you. That's just opening afterwards. Door for meeting her as I and also the other one. Since these are not authenticated and this keeps refreshing that. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Now our second condition should be with our operator, or it has to look for other criteria. If you give and it will take it as one condition only. I'm sorry. You have to tick the countries then in the selection list. I'll check for everything other than I'll remove. That it is a direct filter. But the other way is what I've taken. Just not look for United and get other one. That is more easy. Rather than selecting everything. Going ahead. I did should be less than 1st Jan 2022. When you are going with multiple conditions, you need to partition. Those conditions are the single condition. Now we have one condition that looks for United States, another condition that looks for other countries. Amit, I have a question. The first row you have put and write. What happens if I put are there, where here? It will look for other than whatever you are giving right. United States. Yes, that you have given right. It will not actually the first conditions to start with and only cannot give are. If you give are, since if you have multiple filters, it will be looking, for all other conditions. Let's say if you are here, if you give her here, there is no difference. Actually, it is looking for location United States and it is looking for, other than yes, there is no difference. But if you give when there is only one condition basically to start with and only, and when you have multiple conditions anyways, you're giving operator as R for second conditions. No need of actually mentioning R for first conditions is actually your report will be actually finding United States or it will be looking for other country. You can also add multiple R conditions with the different criteria. But the first condition that you are starting here should be with an operator only. If there is only one condition and we give R, what happens if it is only one? That doesn't make difference, right? Even if you give and it will look for the same condition because you don't have multiple conditions there. Even if you go with R, and it will actually look for the same condition, same value that you are actually giving in this. The main reason of giving operator C is looking for the data in multiple intervals. You code right. If you are, well aware of any kind of language, you will be writing if else condition. If this condition is true, get this. Else this condition is true to this. Else will be writing this kind of condition, write looping kind of conditions. This also a kind of looping kind of conditions. First you should start with if condition right. If you need to, if condition satisfies, then get this value, else, go for other value. Similarly, if United States get this value, else go for other countries. Like that, you can keep on adding. Else conditions like how we know you will be adding in loops. The same kind of concept comes into the picture. Only thing is you will not do any kind of hot coding script, but you will be selecting under our operators. That's the only difference. Wherever you see other than United States, The hide rate should be less than 2022. Wherever you see United States, the hide rate should be greater than or equal to 2022, 2022, 2022. Now we have around 512 rows with multiple countries. We'll just test for few rows. All we see here other than United States. We see the hide rate is less than 2022, and now let's pick for United States. The hide rate is less than 2022. The hide rate is less than 2022. The hide rate is less than 2022. That's how you know. Your report actually looks for multiple criterias and gets that value makes sense now. Now coming back to our source level filter. Data source level filter. Now we are full. We are actually looking for the data where we are. Why this is actually coming here. We are actually looking for all active and terminated site. Now if I wanted to have retirees, my report should only pull a retiree. What would be the criteria here? Will the source, whatever I've picked here from worker business object, which is looking for all active and terminated, will give me retirees. According to HCM, undetermined retirees also said, am I correct, will be coming. But in Workday, we have a separate, source called all retirees. And also, since this is only looking for a certain group of employees which are active or terminated, might be no voluntary termination would be or involuntary termination would be. The retirees are nothing but, would have made long service in the organization and, by default, they're actually, terminated. But they'll be sitting in one source actually, but terminated will be like people would have, absconded or would have gone with involuntary terminations. Such things also will be coming, right? But my criteria, whatever I'm asking, should only pull for retirees, should not look for any other thing. But we can do it with this data source as well by putting some conditions, like you can go with reporting filter by actually going with employee type or any kind of worker type, and you can take it in that way. But the easy way is other than all active work, all active and terminated. The super source that we have is all workers. We have all workers. That looks for all the categories. It looks for active employees, it looks for terminated employees, it looks for contingent workers, it looks for retirees, and also it looks for people who went on leave. All these categories will be coming under all workers. The name itself says that it holds all workers. Now this is actually at source level. This source is actually filtering your data for active and terminated. But it is not looking for any kind of contingent, it is not looking for any kind of retirees specifically, and it is not looking for any kind of employees who went on leave. Now, if you wanted to look for only retirees, that should not look for any other criteria. This one question, the active employees, does not include those who are on leave. No active employees will be inactive. Active. Let's say if I'm in service but I went on leave, I'm nowhere active. Now I'll be inactive, I'll be marked as on leave. I'm inactive, my status will be inactive. When you filter with inactive status, you will be getting terminated and you'll be getting employees who went on leave. I said right, all workers would be a kind of source which will actually look for the criteria that we wanted to have. And also we have a specific source called all retirees in worker that will only look for your retirees. But if you go with all workers, you need to do report level filter. If I wanted to actually use the same source, this will not give you know the exact result that I'm looking for. Let's say if I actually try to filter out, we need to see. We have one Boolean value. One Boolean value we have is retiree indicates whether worker is a kind of retiree or not. You can take this and filter your, at report level. With the Boolean value, you can actually look at, but will not look for probably whoever who would have worked as a contingent worker would have got retired, right? And the people who have went on leave, would have got retired. And there are multiple other criteria also. Employees. When you use all retiree as your primary business object, then it takes into effect the workers that are contingent workers as well. Am I right? No, 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 no. It's only full-time workers, right? Yes, when you go with the source called all retirees. All retirees will be from worker only. Only your source is actually coming as all retirees that will look for all workers. It will look for all workers with, the retiree as a kind of criteria. Now I'm taking from this source only, but only thing is it will not look for all workers. It will look for only active and terminator only. It will not go outside of this and get us the result. But here also you can have an option to use that Boolean value to filter your data, but to get efficient result, appropriate output. The other way is go for all workers and do filter there, because it will look for all workers and it will filter for retiree. The other way is go for retiree source only. We'll do that both ways. We'll test that, this one. You're clear, right? When we are actually filtering with all active and terminated, we have a Boolean value which you can filter. We can. You can play around with filtering retiree, but it will look for only bounded amount of data. It will not go outside of the source and we will look for the data. I'll just show this example and you can wind over today. Now here I can go with all retirees, all retirees. This will only look for these guys. It will look for and it will get. And when you go with all workers and it's even contingent workers coming to the picture, you'll be getting all the categories. Now, if I go with it, we'll look for all the categories. But only thing is I need to do a report filter. Once do we have anything like all terminated employees, something like that? Yes, we have. Yes, we have all terminated. We have which will get only terminated. But whatever might be the worker status, whether he is contingent or full-time, that doesn't matter, but it gets all the terminated. It will look for terminated status. Now here it will be looking for all the workers. Only thing is the same Boolean value. I said right, retirement. Whenever there is a Boolean value, it is nothing but yes or no. Oh, check this checkbox, which should be yes. If you are unchecking, it will not look for retiree, but you will look for all of the values. I'll just give you basic field and this Boolean value employee ed, employee type, employee type. I can add this gate here is the column. Now, if I run the report, I should get only retirees. I should not get other values. I only have 2 retirees. That is actually a filtering out who is a regular employee and might be fixed term, might be, contractor kind of things, it will be looking for. That's how we know you can typically play with report filters. Just, make sure that all the reportings, now we have all the complex reporting business requirements that will be getting data is find data. You can anyway identify the data when you understand cult fields. Also, we'll be understanding how to tweak the data. But the only thing is that you need to understand the requirement is filtering out the data, how you need to actually get the data that is sitting in Workday. That filters your, huge amount of data might be. Some organizations might maintain now headcount more than 1 lakh, 1 and a lakh and all. If you wanted to filter the data with that huge count, your reporting filter plays a major role and makes a lot of difference. Just understand that filtering criteria plays an important role in your complex reporting as well as any kind of specific business use case reporting. Any questions, Far? Oh no, I'm good something to do. If you can give an example, then I'll just work or do the same thing and see if I know. No. You can do. First, create a report that returns only contingent workers. Who has got high data in the United States with the same filter criteria that we have used. But it has to look for only contingent workers. It should not look for employee. It should not look for any other employee type. You should look for contingent workers whose hired date in United States should be greater than or equal to 1/1/2022 and any other contingent workers other than years should be less than 1/1/2022. Same thing with the other way around. But the only thing is employee should not be in the report. should be contingent worker. There are multiple ways you can do. You can report them. You can go with source or you can go with report filter. Anything you can do, but your report should return only contingent. It's not written any other employee. Take this as an activity and come up with the output. We can discuss any other way what you will be doing, right? Other than that, what are other ways we can exploit if you only use contingent workers as your source or going with all and then filter based on you can go with all workers. You can go with the specific source called contingent workers. Anything you can go. Just explore in that way and we can go with another wide amount of requirements in our tomorrow session. Come up with any questions. While you're doing, you might be getting some kind of weird questions. You know how this is coming, why this is not coming, that kind of. Because I'm not used to the logic and I just keep working. The logic is the part that sometimes you get blanks and then you go back and try again. It keeps coming up again. Since this is a training tenant, right, you'll be having a lot of junk data. People will be just giving, the employees without any kind of dependence, without any kind of final employee types and all. You'll be having some kind of junk data where you'll see a good amount of blank values. You need to, strip out all those things through a filter, not blank. Basically, to start with the background of, all the conceptual part of reporting. First, if we are talking about reporting, do you know types of report that we have in Workday? I think first day you told me some compliance metrics. Those are custom report types. Those are custom reporter but generic. Other than custom report, we also have standard reports that Workday provides. We have basically two types of report. One is standard, the other one is custom report. Standard reports are provided by Workday where, to all its customers. Customer will just, let's say, if I wanted to actually, return all, all address related report. There's a report called standard report for address, which you can use. But if you wanted to add anything additional to that report, you cannot add because that is not a custom report, right, which you have not created that one. You will not have a control to that report. You cannot edit. You cannot make changes to the standard report. You just need to run whatever Workday is given. Standard reports are nothing but which are provided by Workday to its customers to run the report and get the data. And custom reports are nothing but which are created by customers as per their own requirements. These are the two types of reports that we have in Workday. One is standard, another one is custom. Basically, for whenever any kind of huge requirement comes to you or any kind of basic reporting requirements comes to you, it will just not straight away go for creating a report. If they ask for getting audit report of employee, audit report of job requisitions, there are delivered reports that are available already in Workday. You can just tell your business or you can just run that report and get the data and you can share that output to your business instead of actually creating another report. But if you are reporting requirements are different and are not meeting to the needs of your the customization where standard report is not giving that amount of data, then you go for custom report creations. Again, if you wanted to go for custom report, there are two ways. You can copy your standard report to custom report and then add the fields that you wanted to have and make it to work according to your requirements. The other way is go for brand new custom report creation where all your data fields are completely new which you wanted to have as per your own criteria. In that way also you can go. Now tell me, what is the standard report? What is a custom report? Standard report is delivered by Workday and you cannot edit it. You just have to run to find the values or to generate the report. But custom report is something which you can edit, modify according to your needs. For example, if the update doesn't provide the data provided by Workday, if it's not sufficient, then you go for a custom report. Yep, custom report. You can do it two types. You can either copy the standard report and edit it, or you can create your own custom report and the copy is actually. You know, the kind of different scenario comes into picture when you're actually copying report. When you're copying report, it's nothing but your standard report that you're copying, right? There are in standard report. There are further two types of report. One is express or report, another one is report writer. And express for report types cannot be copied to custom report, or it cannot have an option called copy only report writer. Types of standard report: only report writer. Types of standard reports can copy to custom report and can customize according to your need. Express for report are just for viewing purpose only. You can run the data, you can run the report and view the data, but you cannot have that to be copied, or you cannot customize anything to your express for reports. But only report writer reports can copy and add additional data that you wish to have according to your reporting requirements. When there is a question or when there is a task that you are asked to actually get the same data with the different fields of express for report, make sure that you cannot copy that express for report. But max you can do is you can just create another custom report populating the same data that your express for report is giving, and also add any additional data to your customer report according to the requirement that you have. Correct. But Amit, if we cannot copy or if we cannot edit, then we cannot view what kind of filters they have used, right? We cannot use anything, we cannot recreate it, right? Then no, I'm saying about data. Let's say, I'm your arm. Let me show one report here. There is a deliver report called all standard report is there, but I think this channel does not do. I'm just opening one standard report here. Just, to show you, I'm able to copy this report, but these are report writer related reports. There's a reason why I'm able to copy, but there is one standard report. How do you know if it is report writer or expression? That is what I'm trying to go and show you. But that report, it's not coming up here, might be in this. Security is not that wide here. There is a probably, I'll see if I can get you all standard reports. There is a task, or if you have your tenant, probably that might have a little out of security restrictions. There is a report called all standard reports. I'll show you again, but I'm in explaining you. All standard reports is there, which will return all the standard reports that are available in Workday. And when you go to that list, it will show you report type as express flow and report type as report writer. And when you go to actions of express for report, you will see only run option, but you will not see copy option. But if you go with report writer, you will see both run as well as copy, because you can only copy your report writer reports. That's the reason why it will show copy option for your report writer, but it will not show for express for reports. Let me proxy out this employee, or Logan McKinney is also one example that we can take which has more security. And another important thing is report writer is also a kind of security group. Report writer is a security group which allows you to create report. Without reporter security group, you cannot access or you cannot view any report that is there in Workday unless you have the security called report writer. You cannot create or you cannot view any report in Workday. If someone asks you, you know what allows you to create report. What is the security group that actually gives you permissions to create report? What should be? Your answer should be report writer. This was the report I was talking about. What is the report? Logan McKinney will have access, all standard report. See here, you can see report type as report writer. Also express flow. You can find express flow. Also, if I go to related actions of express flow, I'll max C to run the report, but I cannot have an option to copy this report. Just if you go to the Workday and give you academic this thing, you should be able to find the tasks. Since these are your academic requirements. If you go here and give you able to the report writer, if you go to the report writer and then let me know if you have a report writer, I think my security is not giving this. If you give this, it will actually return all the academic requirements. That is returned. That is there in the background. Since this is a standard report, you can just run this, but the report writer reports. If you go with the report writer, you'll have different options here other than what you have for Express. For you have different options which you can. Again, this is completely based on the security that you have. Let's say academically advising is there. If you are not part of any kind of that particular security group, you will not be able to access this report, this task at least, completely. Whatever you see, whatever you view in Workday is completely based on the security. With report writer, you can create report and that's fine. But viewing the data should have, let's say, personal information is there, and there you have your personal information, covers your mobile number, your email address, and all your personal information. But I cannot, view your personal information right unless I have specific permissions. And there is a domain called person day personal data kind of domain is there. Unless that domain is assigned to the user that I am using, I will not able to access any personal information. Such kind of things in here. Similarly, whatever report tasks are there unless you have permissions to that area, performance related reports. Performance domain is not given to you, but still you are able to create reports on performance because your report writer security group is granted to you. You should be able to create relay reports on performance, but that performance related domain is not assigned to you. Though you create a report, that will return blank because you don't have that performance related domain assigned to you. That permissions is not granted to you. You can create a report since you have access to create a report, but you don't have an access to view the data of performance report, right? There is a reason why all the performance related domains has to be there. But we'll talk more in a wider way with the multiple examples. But just, take a kind of concept that we have a standard report which provided for customers and in which we have a report writer and X-ray support type of reports in which only reported report writer types can be copied, and there is a task called copy standard report to custom report, which is a delivered task. Through this task, you will be getting only report writer related standard reports, which are allowed to copy to custom report. Just take this as a kind of basic starting, a concept of reporting. We will discuss more about examples, about source, levels and type of custom reports we have, what will give what result on or another. We will talk in a more broader way in our tomorrow session. Sure, just take this as a kind of starting level of report. Writer have two types of reports and custom and standard. Within standard, we have another two types which will play a kind of another rule to copy the report and to not copy the report. Please do like, share and subscribe to our channel.